What's going on, guys? Welcome back to the channel. The last word is back in Destiny 2, and while the final mission for this is really fun, other parts of this quest can be pretty frustrating, especially those involving Crucible. Arguably the most difficult step is the Temptation quest step. Now this involves going into Crucible and defeating other Guardians. The caveat being that when you're defeated, that will impede your progress. So not only do you have to focus on getting kills and assists, but you also have to minimize your deaths. Each kill will give you 2%, each assist will give you 1%, but each death will take away 1%. And this part has been giving a lot of people some issues with this quest here. So in this video, I'm going to go into different tips and strategies that you can use to give yourself a better chance of getting this part done. I'll also touch base on the other Crucible step, the one involving metals, towards the end of this video, but let's focus on the Temptation for right now. So I jumped into a private match, and there's really a number of things you want to focus on here to give yourself a better chance at this. The most important thing is evaluating your playstyle, and part of that involves sticking to the outside of the map and not rushing towards the inside. So even if that means ignoring the objective, you want to focus on cutting down on your deaths, because that's what's going to give you a lot of issues. It's very easy to have a couple of bad games and suddenly you go from 50% all the way back down to 20%. And the way that you can eliminate that is by being more defensive and staying on the outside of the map. It's going to help you out for a number of reasons. Number one, you're going to cut down dramatically on the chance of being surrounded or flanked if you're staying on the outside. It's just a lot easier to control when and where you engage with the other team. So you want to stay to the outside of the map, and to complement that, you want to use weapons that help you out there. Because you're on the outside, you'll be having more long-range encounters. So pulse rifles and scout rifles will help you out big time here with that playstyle. It is more defensive. You may not get as many kills, but you're going to cut down on your deaths, and that's what's going to help you get the Temptation quest done. So I would use a pulse rifle or a scout rifle. Scout rifles might be really good to use here because they have gotten a bump with the most recent update. So it might be time to dust off the multi-tool or Jade Rabbit. Those will help you out. I myself use a Chattering Bone. That's how I got the last word on my Hunter, and that's what I'm most familiar with. So I would focus on a pulse rifle, a scout rifle, and staying on the outside of the map, even if it means ignoring the objective. When it comes to your other weapons, I think you want to look at your energy weapon as a heavy or heavy type weapon. So a shotgun will help out well here. A fusion rifle would work well. You could also consider using something like Graviton Lance. While it might not be as good as it was year one, this will still cause a lot of damage, and it almost serves as a hybrid between a pulse rifle and a scout rifle. So this could be worth using your exotic. If you have the Jotun fusion rifle, that's a great weapon in Crucible. It's a one-hit kill. It's equally effective at range as well as short range, so this could be good to use here for your exotic. But you can also consider using your exotic in your heavy weapon slot. So anything like Thunderlord would be a really good option here. The Sleeper, those is a good option. The Queenbreaker, those are good options. You could also even use the Wardcliff Coil. That could be good to use here too. Even though you may kill yourself with it, there's a good chance you might get a double kill, and having those 2 kills is going to greatly outweigh the 1 death. You might even get a couple assists there as well if you damage somebody else and they get killed. So I'd focus on using these as your heavy weapons. If you're using Graviton or Jotun, you could always use another machine gun or a rocket launcher that has tracking. But your focus here is going to be keeping distance between you and your enemy as much as you can. And if you are close range, having something that's going to take the other guy out pretty quick and guarantee you a trade-off at the very worst. So that's what I'd focus on for your weapons. Anything that's going to complement staying on the outside of the map and having that be part of your playstyle. Ignoring the objective, I know it sounds bad, but ignoring the objective is going to be what you want to do here, because your goal is getting Temptation done as opposed to winning the game. So the other thing you want to keep in mind too is your super. Now, I recommend using a ranged super for the reasons we just talked about. So if you're on your Hunter or if you're on your Titan, you want to use the hammers. That's what I would use here. That's what I'll use probably if I'm using this character. If you're on your Hunter, the Golden Gun has gotten a bump recently, so that could be good. Blade Barrage, of course, is going to still be good as well. And then on your Warlock, I think the Dawn Blade is going to be the best to use, or the Nova Bomb. Those are going to be good because you're keeping your distance, but you're still maintaining the ability to have double or triple kills, and that's going to help rack up your percentage pretty quick. Along those same lines, this week, Mayhem is one of the options for the game mode, so that might be worthwhile as jumping into Mayhem and utilizing those additional supers to get you more kills. Even if you're getting more deaths, you're going to get a lot more kills by having all those supers. So it might be worthwhile to play Mayhem, especially for the medals portion, and we'll get into that in a bit, especially for that when it comes to utilizing this game mode as a means of getting the Temptation quest step done. The other thing that we want to talk about in this video is having synergy between your armor pieces. So if I open up my character here, I have not only the exotic armor, but I also have other armor pieces here that are complementing my weapons. So whether it be things like machine gun scavenger, rifle loader, all these things are going to help me out, unflinching rifle aim, all these things are going to add up and either give me a chance of at least trading off or winning certain encounters that I would otherwise lose. On top of that, you can see here that I have the super mod on all my armor pieces. Now, even if you don't have 5 super mods, 1 or 2 is going to make a difference, and that could be the difference between getting your super back again at the very end or not getting it back. And if you do get your super back one more time, there's a great chance you'll get a couple kills with that, and that could really give you a nice advantage in that particular game. With the exotic armor piece, if you have one-eyed mask on your Titan, definitely use this. I cannot tell you guys how many times I ran into this yesterday on my Hunter. So if you have one-eyed mask, it's by far the best exotic to use for the Titan. It's probably the best exotic armor piece for any class in Crucible right now. So use that if you have it. If you don't, anything that's going to increase your chances of getting away, so Lion Rampants would be good to use here. Those are going to be good options, but make sure you have a super mod as opposed to a mobility mod like I have here. If you're on your Hunter or your Warlock, I think the Hunter has some good options. You could always look at some trusted options like the Wormhusk Crown. That's a good choice for the Hunter. You could also look at the Foe Tracer or Knucklehead Radar, anything to kind of keep your head on a swivel and let you know where the other team is. These are all great choices here for the Hunter. On the Warlock, I'd probably recommend the Sanguine Alchemy, but I'm curious what Warlock players would recommend here. I don't quite play as much on that class, but let me know what you would use for your exotic armor piece. But anything that's going to give you an advantage, anything that's going to let you know where the other team is, or give you a health buff, all these things are going to help out big time with this part of the quest. But I think the more important thing is making sure that you have a good degree of synergy between your weapon choices and your exotic perks, your armor perks in general, and how that complements your super. So all these things kind of work together. But I think the most important thing is staying on the outside of the map and being a lot more defensive, taking pot shots at enemies. I know it sounds like a bad way of playing, but in this particular case here with the Temptation, I think it's by far the best way of doing it. Last but not least, I did mention there's another Crucible step, and that involves getting medals. So I think for that, it's a lot easier than this one is because there's not as much pressure. Again, I would focus on Mayhem this week. The games are faster. You should be getting a lot more revenge kills and blood for blood medals than you would normally, but I think Mayhem's your best bet. But that one is nowhere near as bad as the Temptation is. I know this step has given players a lot of issues, so I consider myself a pretty average player. If you're using these methods and strategies, that should give you a nice bump here and help you get some of the percentage done. It should take you 8-9 games maybe. You don't have to go super fast. It's more about a marathon, not a sprint. Not many players can get this done in 1 or 2 games, so don't worry about that. Just focus on having good games, minimizing your deaths. And I think one last thing I would say is if you're having a stretch of bad games, it might be worth backing out, taking a quick break, and hopping back in. Sometimes you just run into a bad lobby where you'll get smacked down no matter how you're playing. So keep those things in mind. Let me know in the comments below if this was helpful. I want to make this video, and hopefully it'll give people a better chance of getting this part done. I know it can be frustrating, but keep pushing forward. You'll get it done, and soon you'll have your trusted last word hand cannon. Guys, let me know when you do get it. I'm really curious and excited for you guys too. So let me know if these tips are helpful. Let me know down below what you're using for your armor, your weapons, etc., and any tips that you can think of to help players get this part done. So guys, thank you for watching. We'll catch up soon, and have a good day.